we're back in Sylvie, and we have some unfortunate circumstances or news. Our original deal that we had signed is pretty much falling apart. So if you've seen one of our previous videos on this, we had purchased a property in Raiano unseen. All we had done is seen it online and gotten a video from the realtor. We had already been in touch with this realtor, so we had built a little bit of a rapport with them. They knew we were in the market, and we were not just getting information, we were actually serious about it, and they showed us the property online. So we've never actually seen it, and you can watch the video, we'll link it down below, that where we got to visit the first time the property. And the whole deal fell apart. And so the reason why we're in Sylvie, which is, as you can see, Abruzzo, doesn't just have the beautiful mountains. It's about an hour away from Raiano and Simona, and it offers beautiful beaches and sand. And so we booked an Airbnb so we can get a little bit of a feel for everything else while we're here and dealing with this issue. But we're in the second floor up here, and it is just gorgeous. We're about to head out to the market, and we thought we'd give you guys a quick update what has been going on. So we originally signed and everything was supposed to be finished by September, which is already by any means a very long time, because this was a family property that has been with the family for a very long time. They have to get all the paperwork together. It's in a historical district, so everything took a little bit longer than it would in a normal case. So if we ever were to sell the house, it would all move very quickly. But the very first time, everything just took a little bit longer. So if you don't know anything about real estate transactions in Italy, when you make an offer on a house, a binding offer, you have to put down a deposit, which is the same thing in the United States. The only difference here compared to the United States is when you put a deposit down in the United States, the deposit is lost if you back out for no reason. Here in Italy, if the seller backs out, double the deposit is lost on their side. So what they would owe you back is twice as much money, which is pretty good to keep them in the deal. In our case, they originally wanted 10,000 USD, and we had talked them down to 5,000 because we knew it would take a little bit longer on this deal, and we didn't want to keep our funds tied up to up this long. And they agreed to it, and now it fell apart. Now, to the reason why it fell apart, there's 4 people in this family that own this property. It is one of them that had got, in the meantime, while all this was happening, had gotten into some tax liabilities, and just a couple of days before closing, the tax lien popped up on the title. And so when they start the process, they do a search and everything was clear. But right before the closing, they do a final search, and that's when it showed up. Thankfully, they did, and they couldn't close. And we had given the power of attorney to our agent. We were going to do a remote close because we already done part of it as we were here in May. And they called us and they said, we don't know what happened. All of a sudden, a lien showed up and the notary could not close the property. We're trying to figure out, everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out what was going on. The biggest problem in this situation now is that there's a tax lien on this, and the tax office, they give you a lot of opportunities to fix the problem, but there is a time where they eventually will take this property to an auction. And we could potentially, that was one of the things that they offered, is buy everybody else out and then go to an auction and buy the remaining out for low cost. And we said, we're not doing any of those kind of things. That is, we're not doing any funny business or any, weird things. We're not in the country most of the time. That is just not something we would do. So the only option at this point is the tax office agrees to let go of the debt for the amount that we still owe on the property. So we put down 5,000 euros. There's 20,000 that we would owe on the property at closing, and the buyers wouldn't get anything, and it would go straight to the tax office. Now, the tax office is owed 35, and if it goes to like an auction or something like that, from what we understand, the amount doubles, so it's 70. But if you pay for it, then it's just the 35. And in this case, it would only be 20 that's available, so the tax office would have to forgive the rest of the amount. I don't know if they're going to. So there's some phone calls that are happening in the next few days from the attorney and from the agency to the tax offices, and to see if that's even a possibility. And that is their only hope to get this resolved without causing a lot of financial distress for them. Because if you think about it, if this goes to an auction, right, they lose the house regardless. But they would owe us the deposit times 2 and all of our fees, which is the notary and the translator, the agency fees, all that stuff is still owed. So that would be a lot of the money. The best case scenarios that the tax office says, okay, we'll take the 20,000 and it's clean. And the only way we will do that if the title is clean. If there's any way that they can come back or do anything weird, then we will not mess with it. It has to be absolutely clean and come back without any encumbrances or any liens on the title. So that's kind of where we're at. We don't want to mean any harm to anybody. If the tax man says no and they have to give us the deposit back, we only want the deposit back. We don't need double the amount, but we want all the other fees, the notary, the agency, and all those things. We want all that refunded to us. And we want to make sure that we get that back. I'm kind of concerned that not all the deposit is there anymore, especially with that person that's having financial troubles. So for us, we just want to move on at that point. If it doesn't go the right direction with the tax man, we just want to move on and find another place. It's going to be hard to find something that is in that quality and for that price. But again, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Let us know what you kind of think, what you would do, if you would be this patient, if you would have already ran for the hills. We're going to be seeing the next few days what's going to be our fate, if we're going to keep having this or if it's completely fallen apart. In the meantime, we're going to start looking at a few more properties just to get ahead of the game a little bit. We'll let you know what we think of the properties. Most of the ones we look at are decent properties. They don't necessarily mean that they fit every one of our criteria. That's why we potentially don't go with them and keep looking. But you a lot of times don't know until you get to the property and actually walk through it. We've looked at some on the pictures, they look smaller, and then you get there and you're surprised how well they flow. And then there's just a few small things missing, and we just keep looking, because one of the things that we've started realizing as we start looking at all these houses, and we've been looking at houses for a while, you have to make sure you either get a really good deal and you are willing to give up a few things, or you pay the price for getting all the things you want. But you don't want to go somewhere in the middle and just grab something because you want to grab something. There's lots of properties out here. There's no worry that you're not going to get something. And I have a feeling that going forward, there's going to be even more properties available. So we'll keep in touch and we will show you more properties, and let's see how this goes and if we get our money back and if we can keep moving. Either way, we're going to go find something, regardless if we get 5,000 back or not. That's not going to deter us from finding our retirement home. So until next time, take care, leave a like, comment down below, and thanks for all the subscriptions. We really do appreciate it. And if you ever notice down below, we read every one of the comments and we reply to everyone. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon. Bye.